Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, you're welcome to Sew with Mediva. And if you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you for sticking to my channel. So in today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to cut and sew this trendy jacket with Ankara fabric. So I achieved the style using 1.5 yards of Ankara fabric, but you can also make this top using your crepe fabric or your denim fabric. This is what the back looks like. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. So I made use of 1.5 yards of this beautiful African print fabric. I have my lining here, my tape roll, my chalk, my scissors and my ruler. So we're going to be drafting on the pattern paper for clarity and accuracy of measurement. So I went ahead to mark a straight line at the upper part of my paper, which is going to serve as the shoulder line. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to take the full length of my top, which is 28 inches plus half an inch for turning over with the lining. And for the wideness of the paper, I used my hip measurements divided by 4 and 3 extra inches. So the next thing is to mark the vertical measurements for this top. The first one is from the shoulder to the nipple point. So for mine it is 10.5 inches. The next one is from the shoulder to the half length, which is 16 inches for me. Go ahead to mark yours. And the next is from the shoulder to the hip line, which is 24.5 inches for me. After marking the points, I'll extend the lines this way and then label them appropriately. So on the shoulder line, I'll place the shoulder measurement divided by 2. Mine is 16 inches, divided by 2 is 8 inches, but I'll subtract 1 inch from it because it is sleeveless top. And then I'll mark the neckline. The wideness of the neckline is 3 inches and the depth of the back neckline. So we're drafting the back panel first. This is the back neckline, which is 1 inch. I'll go ahead to connect the points together. And from that 7 inches mark, I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope and then connect it to meet the neck width this way. So from this point, I'll take the armhole measurements divided by 2. Mine is 8 inches. So I marked 7.5 inches because it's a sleeveless dress. So you can also get your chest line by dividing your bust measurement by 6 and adding 1.5 inches to it. So the next thing to do is to place the dart. To get your dart line, divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2 and mark it on all the 3 lines this way. So mine is 4 inches. After marking, go ahead to connect the points together this way. So I'll come over to the waistline and take half an inch on both sides of the line, and on the hip line I'll come up by 2 inches. So extend the dart line all the way to the full length of the top, and on the hip line come up by 2 inches, and then use your ruler to just connect the points together this way. And then I'll also connect it all the way to meet the bust point this way. After that, the next thing is to mark the round body measurement. On the bust line, mark your round bust measurements divided by 4 and add 1.5 inches for seam allowance. And on the waistline, mark your round waist measurements divided by 4, add the 1 inch dart and add 1.5 inches for seam allowance. So I'll go ahead to mark mine. And on the hip line, mark your round hip measurements divided by 4 and 1.5 inches for seam allowance. After marking, go ahead to use your ruler to connect all the points together this way, and then extend it all the way to the full length. So the last thing to do is to mark the armhole curve. I'm going to just get the midpoint of this line. Get the midpoint of the line. Mine is about 3.8 inches, and I'll go ahead to curve it all the way to the chest line. So because I want to open this pattern completely, I'm going to connect it all the way to meet the armhole curve to create like a princess dart. I'll form a curve all the way up this way. So let's go ahead now to cut this out. So I'm not going to open up the dart area yet. I want to use the pattern to cut out the front pattern. So I have the pattern paper I'll be using for the front. So I came in by 1.5 inches towards the center front for the overlap effect. You know this top has buttons in front, so I came in by 1.5 inches and I just rolled the straight line. So I'm going to place the back panel directly on that line this way, and then go ahead to pin it down. So after pinning, I'm going to then trace out the exact pattern I have, and then I'll mark the important points: the waistline, the bust line and the hip line, before I remove the pattern paper. So I'll remove the pattern paper from it and just set it aside while we work on the front. So I'll go ahead to extend the lines I just marked, the bust line, the waistline and the hip line, and then I'll mark my darts just like I did on the back panel and then connect the lines together. So on the waistline, I'm going to take half an inch on both sides. A bigger size can do 1 inch towards the side and half an inch towards the center. And then I came up by 2 inches from the hip line and connected the point. So from the bust line, I'll come down by 1.5 inches and then go ahead to connect it all the way up this way. After that, the next thing is to work on the neckline. So the depth of the front neckline is 3 inches. We are maintaining the same width of 3 inches. I'll go ahead to connect the points together this way and then extend it into the button allowance. Then I'll take my shoulder slope of 1 inch. So let's go ahead now to cut it out. So after cutting out, I'll just bring the back panel and make sure that what I have is the same. So I'll mark the midpoint of the armhole on the front panel as well, and you also need to come in by half of an inch before you do this. I forgot to do that on my pattern. And then I connected it to the bust line, as you can see. So I'm going to be cutting this opened. So before we cut it out, I'm going to work on the design in front. So from the waistline, I'll come down by 4 inches. Come down by 4 inches, and on this dart line at the base of my top, I would take 1 inch. I'll come in by 1 inch, and I take my ruler and just connect the 2 points together. You can as well connect the line all the way to the dart point, and then I'll extend it into the button allowance this way. So we're going to be cutting out this part to create that design in front, and we're also going to be cutting out this dart point. So I'll also go ahead to label the patterns. This is the back pattern and the other one is the front. So before I open up the dart for the back, I'll come over to the waistline and come in by half of an inch. So this is going to help reduce any form of bulging at the back of your top. So I will slant it all the way to the base this way and slant it all the way to the top. So I'll also be cutting out that part. So by doing this, the back of the top is not going to have any fold. So go ahead to cut it out. So after that, I'll go ahead to place the front and the back panels on each other. I want to give it a design on the side. This is optional. You can decide to leave yours straight. So I'll come up by 3 inches from the side and then go ahead to just curve it into the base of my blouse this way. I'll curve it here. So I'm also going to cut out that part on the 2 patterns. So finally now let's go ahead to open up the dart area of the blouse. So this is for the back panel. So I'll have 2 pieces of this. I'll cut out 2 pieces of each, and I'll also cut out lining. So for the front as well, I'll open up the dart. And then I'll also cut out this lower part. So I'll cut out 2 pieces of this and also cut out 2 pieces. So when I'm done cutting on the fabric, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So let me carry you guys along while cutting one of the patterns. So I added half an inch all around it, as you can see. So fold the fabric into 2 and place the pattern on it. So for the side, I already have my seam allowance, so that is why I did not add any other allowance there. So I'll cut out the rest and show you guys when I'm done. So after cutting out, this is what we have. This is for the front panels. I have 2 pieces each of the fabric and 2 pieces of lining. Same thing for the other side. And for the back panel, I also cut out 2 pieces each and I cut out the lining as well. So like I said earlier, I added half an inch all around it because of the joining allowance. I hope you guys understand. I added half an inch, added to the neckline as well, to the armhole, as you can see. So we're going to start with the back panels, and I also added half an inch all around for the joining allowance. So I'll take the pattern papers off so I can start joining the fabrics together. So we're going to start with the back. So for the center back, we have 2 pieces of it, and for the sides we have 2 pieces. So I'm going to separate them from each other this way. and then I'll take it to my sewing machine. I'll place them right sides facing each other like this, and I use the half an inch I added to join it all the way up. So I'll repeat the same process on the lining pieces. So for this top, anything you are doing on the main fabric, you're going to do on the lining. So after joining the center backs together, I'll then take the sides. By then it will look like this. I'll take the sides and then place it on it. Starting from the base of the fabric, I'll stitch it all the way up. You can use your pins to hold it down if you're a beginner. When I'm done with that side, I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. Starting from the base, I'll go ahead to stitch it all the way up. So whatever I'm doing on this main fabric, I'm going to repeat the same process on my lining pieces. So after joining the back, I'll move over to the front and then join the pieces together. So these are the sides and this is the center front. So I'll start from one side, I'll place it right side facing each other this way, and then from the base I'll go ahead to stitch it all the way up. Stitch it all the way up. After that, I'll repeat the same thing for the other side, and then stitch it all the way up. Remember, you can use your pins to hold it down to make it easier. I'll repeat the same process on the lining and show you guys what it looks like. So for the back, I've gone ahead to join all pieces together, and this is what we have. So I opened up the seam and I ironed it so that it lays down flat, and I did the exact same thing on the lining just like I explained earlier. These are the front panels. I also opened up the seam and I ironed it out so that the seam appears very neat on the right side. And for the lining pieces, I did the same thing as well. The next thing we want to do is to join the front and the back panels together. So I'm going to be placing them right sides facing each other this way. And then on the shoulder, I'll use my half an inch to join it. I'll also do the same thing for the other side. So you can as well close up the sides if you want, but for mine, I left it opened. So I'll repeat the same process exactly on the lining and show you guys. So after I closed up the shoulders, this is what it looks like, and for the lining, this is what we have. Remember, you can also close up the sides if you want. So the next thing I want to do is to turn over my fabric with the lining. So I opened up the fabric this way, and then I'll place my lining, making sure the right side of the lining is facing the right side of my fabric this way, and then go ahead to merge all the points together, the shoulders, the neckline, the armhole. Place it on it this way. So I'm going to start joining from the neckline. So I'll take half an inch and join the lining to the fabric all the way around it. When I'm done, I would also close up the armhole area using half an inch. I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'll come over to the front panel. I'll arrange my lining very well, close up the sides, I'll close up the base, close up the front part. So you're basically joining the fabric and the lining all together on all sides. So I'll go ahead to close up the center front as well on this side. Close up the base and the sides. So for the back, I'll also close up the base, I'll close up the sides. So on one side, I'm going to leave an opening of about 5 inches that I'll use as my turning over. So when I'm done doing all of that, I will show you guys. So after I stitch the lining to the fabric, this is what it looks like. So this is the point I left. So I'm going to use it now to turn the fabric over to the right side. So make sure you bring out all the edges after you've turned it over. So after I turned over to the right side, this is what it looks like. So I'm just trying to bring out all the edges. I'll take it to the ironing board now and iron it out. So after I ironed it, this is what it looks like. It appears really flat and neat now. So this is the button allowance that will sit on each other in front, and you can see the beautiful design as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is to join the sides together. So I will use my 1 inch seam allowance that is left to close up the sides all the way down. After doing all of that, I'll iron it out and show you guys the finished product of this top. So after I close up the sides, this is what it looks like. You can see how beautiful the top looks already, and the wrong side of the top looks very neat as well. So the last and final thing you want to do is to insert your buttons and your buttonholes on this overlap. I'll be doing mine off camera. So this is what we end this video for today, guys. I hope you found it useful and I hope you have learned something new. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, share to your loved ones, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.